Hi, and welcome to Safe in the Real World. I'm Ahmed Syed, and today we are going to be talking about Program Increment Planning, or PI planning for short. Imagine you have got a large vision that you need to deliver, and it spans multiple teams and maybe even systems. The question is, how do we plan, coordinate, and synchronize all these teams together so that they can deliver on that vision? That is what Program Increment Planning, or PI planning for short, is designed to actually help address. Now, let's go through my top 5 tips that will help you to run an efficient and effective PI planning session. So number 1, my first tip is you need to know your why. You need to know your purpose. You need to clarify to everybody what is the reason for your PI planning event in the first place. What are the outcomes you are trying to achieve? We need to be clear to them that one of the things that we are looking to come out with is what we call an emergent roadmap. By emergent, what we mean is the information and detail up front in earlier iterations or time boxes. It's going to be more detailed, and later on time boxes and iterations, it's going to be less detailed. It's emergent. It's not fully articulated and fully detailed. It's not locked down. We need to have an agile roadmap over there. And finally, we need to be clear upon clarifying that we need to identify all of the cross-team dependencies and other things that are needed so that we can have a viable and we can have a coherent and a plan that takes into consideration all of the complexities that are there within your organization. So that's tip number 1. Let's move on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is to do with preparation. We need to be really clear up front on what the vision is. We need to have prepared for that during the session. The beginning of the program increment planning session, the executives will be talking about what their vision is. We need to be really clear on what are the features for that program increment. We need to make sure they are well-formed features, and we also need to make sure that the architecture is understood by everybody as well. So what are the broad brush architectural guidelines and principles that we actually need everybody to understand? So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is no surprises. Okay, so we want to make sure that everybody, as I said, is familiar with the features. We want to make sure diaries are blocked out in advance for program increment planning session. It's a big event. It's potentially involving hundreds, up to about 125, 100, and could be even slightly more than that. People in there could be up to 12 teams, so a large event, a large number of people. So we want to block out the diaries. And finally, we want to make sure that they are trained up in Agile and Safe as well, so they know what they're doing on the day, because we don't want to have any surprises when we've got such a large number of people. Okay, let's move on to tip number 4. Organization. We want to make sure that each of the different teams have the team areas set up really well. We want to have the stationery set up. We want to have the logistics of the day all organized well. We want to understand, have the information so that everybody can actually see all the information that is needed by them. And I actually have information areas, or what I call information hubs, set up throughout the room so people can actually go and they can get information on the features that are there. If there's a feature team matrix, you can have that over there. You can have all of the information that the teams are going to need to actually have an effective PI planning session. Okay, now let's move on to the final tip. The final tip is divide and conquer. Now, what do I mean by that? So what I mean by divide and conquer is that it's a large day. You've got a lot of stuff going on. There's going to be lots of moving parts. It's too much for any one individual to manage and organize, facilitate themselves. And be really clear on all of the different roles that are supporting the day. Be clear on who's supporting the program prioritization, who's there if there are any problems with logistics, who do they go to speak to if they need to speak to someone, who's there for stationery, who is there if you've got breakout rooms, who's managing that, who's managing your team dependency board, etc., etc., etc. There's a long list of people that are needed to support an effective program increment planning session. Okay, so there you go. Those are my 5 tips. I hope you found that useful. Now I've got a 3-part video series that is going into much more detail on how to run an effective program increment planning session. So it's free. All you need to go is go to my website. It's www.sprintzero.com and click on the link for program increment planning session. There will be a link down here on the video. And so please go to my site to get more information and sign up to that free video series where you get all of the information for PI planning and more. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. Look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you very much and see you soon. Bye.